Many cosmic things in comics are just straight up weird. Welcome back, Nerd Squad, it's me, Amanda. Today we'll be counting down the top 10 weirdest cosmic Marvel villains. What makes an alien or alien species weird, do you think? Number 10. Cordyceps Jones. Cordyceps Jones is one of my favorites of the cosmic villains mentioned on this list. He is definitely a super weirdo. Basically a mushroomy looking space mobster who is made up of fungal spores. While he might sound ridiculous, he is not a villain that you want to underestimate, trust me. He both looks and is terrifying. Most recently using one of his casinos to threaten the existence of the entire planet of Earth by creating a betting pool based around its destruction. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, why not show us you love us by clicking that like? Number 9. The Brood. Despite being a bunch of insectoid alien critters, the Brood are actually among one of the most normal of the weirdos on our list. They kinda resemble the monstrous species we see in Alien, and likewise they are usually known for bursting through people's stomachs. The Brood also seek out hosts to incubate their young, which then of course burst out of the host's bodies to be born. Pretty much just like we see happen in Alien. Something interesting and bizarre that we know about the Brood too is that they don't just do this for survival's sake because, you know, it's required for them to continue to exist as a species. They actually enjoy terrorizing others throughout the cosmos. Inflicting pain and causing panic is something pretty much all Brood enjoy, giving them actual gratification from the violent acts that they commit. In fact, in their race, it's actually weird to feel a sense of empathy or compassion for others and to not enjoy pain, which is why Brood was ostracized and left to die by the Brood Queen, before he was then found and taken in by the X-Men. And weirdly, in his case, the ability to be friendly and kind is actually like his mutant power as a Brood, because, I mean, that is a mutation. Number 8. The Phalanx. Phalanx are some of the most freaky of the villainous cosmic alien races we have over at Marvel Comics. They are believed to have been created by the Technarchy, but I don't think they have actually been made aware of this connection, probably because the Technarchy doesn't want them to know that. Like the Borg, who likely inspired them, they are a cybernetic race focused on assimilating other worlds. They don't take you to a cube to experiment on you though, but instead infect you with the techno-organic virus, which then slowly changes you into a cyborg, erasing everything within you that is organic and turning you techno-organic, some might say. Number 7. Dark Celestials. So weird. Because when you think about it, the Celestials and even the Dark Celestials actually are a big part of the reason that we even have life on Earth in Marvel Comics. In fact, their existence could even be used to explain the sheer number of superpowered beings that are on Earth as well. The Progenitor, who appeared in AXE Judgment Day after being resurrected by the Avengers and Eternals, is actually the first to have become corrupted. Dark Celestials are just Celestials, godlike cosmic beings, who were corrupted by the Horde. The Progenitor did initially not turn dark, but instead died as a result of this, falling to planet Earth billions of years ago. The Celestial who searched for the Progenitor became corrupted by the corpse they found, and then they were turned dark, thereby creating the Dark Celestials, and actually becoming the first Dark Celestial, but not the first person to be infected by the Horde. Number 6. Horde. The Horde are another insectoid alien race that are so cosmic it actually hurts me. They're basically the race that is meant to cosmically balance out the Celestials. They are agents of the Fulcrum along with the Celestials and Watchers. And the Fulcrum, for those who are not familiar with this term, basically represents the balance of the cosmos. In essence, Marvel's God. The Fulcrum is actually known by another name that many may more commonly recognize from Marvel Comics, the One Above All. Yeah, so like I said, basically God. The Horde are therefore just made to be a force of destruction to counter the Celestials' force of creation in the universe. Why do they look like insects? Probably because it's just creepier that way. Why did they choose to corrupt the Celestials? Because they could. I'm not really sure how all that factors into the Fulcrum's plans, or if it does at all, but it's a thing that happened at least, so hey, there's that. Number 5. Raquel. I never know how to say this name. Raquel isn't a strange cosmic villain in the sense of her appearance or role, but more is mentioned here because she suddenly popped up in the comics after years of being dead, which is what makes her kinda weird. It had been so long that her return was mostly met with confusion from fans at that point because many who were reading her reappearance didn't actually know who the heck she was. Even I had to do some digging to fully understand the importance of just who this character is. Raquel Raquel was once one of the rulers of the Skrull Empire. Unlike Varanki, who was made queen after the Skrulls' homeworld fell, and actually who a lot of people thought I think Raquel was at first, Raquel was actually the Skrull Empress, back when the homeworld was still around and doing well. Raquel first appeared back in 1979 and would perish in the comics in issue 257 of Fantastic Four in 1983, only a few short years later. She returned only a few short years ago from now though, so like it's 2023 now. I think she reappeared back in like 2020 or something like that, or 2021 in the Empire event, where she was revealed to be Hulkling's grandmother who survived the destruction of Tarnax 4, and who had been working behind the scenes ever since undercover as a Kree pursuer while putting into motion a plan to make her grandson ruler of the United Skrull and Kree empires. Which is like, what? That was me when I found all that out. Number 4. Nihilus. Nihilus is weird in the most comic book way for a villain. He hails from the Negative Zone and is also insectoid in appearance, like so many others on our list. Nihilus basically has a cosmic magic wand, if you will, known as the Cosmic Control Rod, that he used in his attempt to take over the Negative Zone. In more recent appearances, however, Nihilus actually usually chooses to wear this rod as sort of a protective accessory, using it to protect him against naturally occurring dangers such as aging, heat, and cold, in addition to gaining the ability to fly through space. I mean, at the end of the day, Nihilus is like kind of an insect, so he needs to be protected against those things. He also initially became a villain of the Fantastic Four because they borrowed the Cosmic Rod to help treat the Invisible Woman during her pregnancy. Though admittedly, they did return the Cosmic Rod, so I don't know why Nihilus is so angry. I guess if you need something to live though, you'd be like, hey, don't just take that. Number 3. Galactus. When you think about it, Galactus is a pretty weird villain. He's basically a giant man who can fly through the vacuum of space, although he usually prefers to do so from within his own even more enormous spaceship, because I guess he likes having his things with him, who wears a very large hat, has much hunger, and as a result basically eats planets. Oh, and he's also basically a universal constant, meaning that without his existence, the universe is kind of thrown off balance. Despite being an antagonist, you also kind of need him to exist, or at least, I mean, you used to need him. I don't really know what's happening with that. Recently, Galactus got dusted in a fight involving the Black Winter and Thor, and the universe still seems to be existing without too much disruption right now. But even that is weird, because if we established how Galactus is basically a necessary evil earlier, you'd think his death would cause things to get pretty wonky pretty quickly. Although, to be fair to Donny Cates' current Thor series, that's likely coming in due time, because it was kind of hinted at that, yeah, killing Galactus may have been a bad move. Number 2. Impossible Man. Impossible Man is one of my all-time favorite weirdos from the cosmic realm of Marvel Comics. He's kind of like Marvel's equivalent of DC's fifth dimensional imp, Mr. Mxyzptlk. Impossible Man hails from the planet Pop-Up and is known as a Pop-Upian. He is often depicted as being more a misguided villain than a malicious one. For the most part, he gets into trouble with heroes because of a misunderstanding or because of kind of his love for pranking. Like Mr. Mixie, he is sometimes an ally to the heroes who he has also been known to torment, and is known for being pretty intensely powerful, I'd say, having molecular manipulation powers which allow him to change his form, shapeshift, and even duplicate himself. Also, he's got a very goofy design that honestly reminds me of a cross between Mr. Mixie and the Coneheads, and I love it. Number 1. Zemnu. Definitely one of the weirdest weirdos out there for me. Even his name sounds so cosmically weird and fantastic. Zemnu. Reminds me of Xanadu, although not at all related to that 80s Olivia Newton-John fantasy musical classic, to clarify. Sadly, I wish Zemnu was Xanadu themed, a Xanadu themed villain. What would that even be like? I don't know. I'm here for it. Zemnu with like some roller skates on. Zemnu is a Hulk villain. He was an alien cyborg prisoner who escaped from exile only to crash land on Earth. Already that sounds pretty wild. But hey, it gets weirder. Zemnu initially hoped to control the minds of the people of Earth and get them to build him a new spaceship, one that was so powerful that its launch would actually in essence destroy Earth. Zemnu is a psionic being who can hypnotize his victims and control their minds. He can also use hosts to kinda heal himself, in essence transforming their body into his until there's nothing resembling them or their mind left. Even stranger, Zemnu was technically the first character to be known as the Hulk before the creation of the Bruce Banner turned green giant version of the character, which is even weirder to think about. Zemnu's OG Hulk. That's about it. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.